In this video, I'll be creating this weather app I designed in Adobe XD using JavaScript. I'll be touching some basics of HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap, and then diving into how to use JavaScript to fetch data from a weather API and updating that data in the browser. Just want to show you the extensions I'll be using. Now here are the extensions. Now one of the ones I want you to make sure you have, even if you don't have any of them, is Live Server. Now, Live Server helps to refresh your browser. So immediately you save, it refreshes your browser so you don't have to keep doing or going back and forth. Okay, and here are the other ones I also use. Prettier, it's one of the ones I also recommend you get. Okay, so let's start by creating a new file. I'll just call it index.html, and I'll also create another file. I'll call it style.css. Now I'll be using Bootstrap, so style.css is going to be where I also get to play around with my own personal styles. So let's create the barebone HTML. So Shift1, and I'll change just close this. I'll change the title to Weather app. Okay. Now let me fire up my live server. So I just right click and say open with live server. Okay, so that will open up your default browser for you. So in my case, it's just here. So let's test that and see if it works. So I just create a p tag and say test live server and click on save. Now once you do that, you notice that automatically comes out. Okay, so our live server is working. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import my Bootstrap. So I'll go to the Bootstrap website, and okay, let's open this big enough. So I just want to copy the CSS link. That's what I'm going to use. I'll copy that, and I'll paste it in my head section. Okay, we have that there. I'll also link my own CSS. Okay, now in my CSS, I want to import the font I used for the mockup, which is a railway. So I'll go to Google Fonts, I'll search for railway. Okay, we have it here. Now you can select the different styles you want to import, italics, and the weight and all that. So I'll just select a few of them, a few of the regular ones, depending on their weight. I want some bold ones. I think these ones are okay. Then I'll go to embed. Then I'll choose import. Now, if I was pasting it directly on my HTML, I'll have to copy all of it. But since I'm just pasting it in my CSS, I'll just copy this portion of the code and I'll paste it here. So that does the importation for us. So we can use the railway font now and decide the different weights that we have access to. You can add more if you want. Now, whenever I want to call this up, I'll use this here. So I can just copy this, Ctrl C. I want this to be uniform font. So in the body, I'll just create this to be uniform font for everything. So go back here. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is to create a div with a container. I'll give it a margin in the y-axis of 5. And this container, I'll create my h tag. So the text center, I want it centered. And then just weathering. Let's see. Okay, you can see weathering is there. It has the railway font. Okay, that's good. I also could add a class of title so that I can play around with the styles. And next thing I'm going to do is still in my container, because container is going to contain everything. I'll create the form. I'll just give it my own class because I want to use this in the JavaScript to refer to the form. I'll clean the action because I'm not going to use that. We're using JavaScript to submit this form, so we can do away with the action. So I'll just create an input of text. I'll give it a class of control. This is a Bootstrap class. Text method to give it like a faded text color. Form rounded. All these are Bootstrap classes to give it rounded corners. I'll give it a padding of 4. These are Bootstrap classes. Shadow, some shadow. I'll just call the name city. Now I can take away the ID. We don't need that. I can add a placeholder and say what city and just save. So you can see that what city. I'll turn off autocomplete. Save. So there we have. So you can see the padding, and then the text method is like a faded text. Okay, so let's go down there, create a card, div card. I want to make it rounded. I'll give it a margin in the y-axis of 3. I'll give it a shadow, I'll give it a large shadow. Then I'm going to give it my own class. I'll call it backcard. Backcard is my own class. The others are Bootstrap classes. Okay, so in here, in this, I'm going to create a div for the top. I'll call it card top. And I want the text to be centered. And in here, I'm going to put this in a div. Let's call it city name. City name is my own div, my own class, sorry. I'll give the margin of 3 in the y-axis. And I'll add city here, Abuja, and span. Okay, so we have that there already. Of course, we are going to style this later. Now in here, I also want to have my image. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the images to a folder. So I'll create a folder, call it img, and then I'll copy the images. Now exported as SVG. I'm going to show you how that looks in a moment. I've copied, I want to paste, so I'll right click on the folder and choose paste. Now I have my SVGs here. I exported from the mockup which I designed. So when you click on it, you see the paths and all that. Okay, so in here, I'm gonna use the night image. I'm sorry, img night image as save, so we can see that. Let me just make this bigger for us to see. Okay, I'm still gonna style this so you don't have to worry about that. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm gonna create let's see where we are. Okay, I'm gonna create like a middle div. So I'll call it div. Let's call it card body because I'm gonna use this for my JavaScript later. In this card body, I'm gonna have a div I'll call card mid, and I want to give it a class of row. Row is a Bootstrap class. Now in here, I'll create a div, column div, and I'll give it a text center, and I'll call it temp. Temp is my own class name. I know this might be confusing, but just flow with me. When I go to the text CSS part, I'll give my explanation also. So I'll create a span, let's say 30. Now this is how you do that degree, ampersand, degree, and semicolon. It gives you that degree. You can see that degree sign. I'm also gonna, in this row, I'm gonna add another div of column, and then I'll call it condition temp. This is my own class. And in here, I will actually have this thunderstorm, so p tag, and also I want a p tag. I just got 30 degrees. Oops, I should have a small d. Okay, and then I'll copy that again, paste it here. So the reason why I used column is to make sure that these two guys they are arranged that way horizontally. So I'm going to make one of the columns bigger by giving this let's say column size of 8, and this is a column size of 4. So it's going to make this one to be bigger than that one. Okay, that's all based on Bootstrap. Now you can go to Bootstrap and read all about those styles you can get in documentation. Okay, so let's continue. Now after this, we're going to have, after the card made, give a space, still in the card body, we're going to have a div that I'll call icon container. I want it to be a card, and I want to give it some shadow, and next also I want it to be at the center. Okay, now in here I'm gonna have my image. So let's say image cloud. So you can see that we're gonna style that later to look how it's meant to look. Okay. At the bottom I'm gonna have a div, and just call it card bottom. That's what it's gonna be. And I'll give it some padding x-axis of 5. Give some padding in the y too, and I'll make it a row. In that row, I'm gonna have, of course, 2 columns, which I'll get by column. I want to centralize the text. I'll use text center. In here, I'll add the degree. Okay, and just add a span and say feels like. Now I can just copy and paste this column. So you can see we have that side by side, but this time it's gonna be 55%. There will be humidity. Okay, so I think we have sorted out all the backbone HTML we need. Now we have to go to the styling. Okay, so for me to do that, I will just quickly rearrange my workspace. I'll close this and try and use this split editor of let me see, I actually want you, sorry. Okay, so I have my style on one side, I have my HTML on one side. Let me see if I can arrange this a little bit for us to see what I'm doing. So just concentrate on the style.css. Let me switch on my wrapping. Okay, so this is the main section. This is just for me to quickly glance at the class names to see what I'm doing, but just pay attention to this part. Okay, so in the body, we're going to make the body a little bit of white. So do that by adding a background. So let's see, let me use EOU. Okay, so that gives like an off-white color. And then colors of the font, I want to go with something darker. Okay, that's there already. Oops, sorry about that. Color. Okay, so all my font are going to take this color, and then I'm just do the margin and padding 0. Oops. Thank you, VS Code. Okay, good. So margin and padding space is have to be 0. Now let me start my container class. Oh, there is a Bootstrap class. We can add styles to it. So let's make our max width to be 400 px, and also make the min width. Okay. I just want to make it look smaller, that's all. And now let's open our title. This, I believe, our title is this one. Title, okay. So Basically want to make this bolder, so we're going to increase the font weight a bit. So choose 500. Did I import 500? Now I didn't import 500, I imported 400, so I can use 400. If it's not weighty enough, I don't know if that's a good correct English, you can use 700. Now this corresponds to the ones you import. So if you want to use 500 like I did before, you just put in 500 here, but I'll just use 700. I think it looks good enough. Then you can play around with the font size if you want. Let's try 50. Okay, that makes it bigger. Quite big. Okay, I think that's okay. Then I'll go to let me work on the form. So I can target the form rounded. Now I want this to be really curved, so I'll go with border radius. Let's go with 2M. Okay, good. So that works exactly how we want it to be. Now, what else do we need to style? We need to style this. But I also need to curve this card. So let's see, what did I give the card? Oops. Card, back card. So let me style the back card. So you must have guessed we use border radius. And let's try 20. Okay, so that didn't show anything. So what I'll do is I'll add importance to see if I can force it. Okay, good. Okay, so I think I'll curve it more. Let's go with 50. Is that too much? A little bit too much. Okay, anyway, when I move up the image, I will find out what works best. So what is next? Working on the city name. Okay, where we have Abuja. So city name. Now what I want to do with the city name is I want to make the position to be absolute. Okay, now what that means is what that does actually is this city name. Okay, let me just go to the HTML. If you can see this portion. Now this portion, it kind of like takes it out of the stack. So just imagine I delete this. That's how the image is going to be without that. So position of absolute kind of like takes out a particular div and pins it somewhere else. Oops, I'll just undo. Okay, so it takes it out of the stack, makes it behave like it's not here. Okay, and that kind of sticks to this. Now I believe that card has a position of absolute, because if it doesn't, it would have gone up maybe to this place. I'll just increase the width to 100%. Good. So that brought it to the center. Okay, so what else I want to do is just to play around with the sizes of this. So city name P. Now what this will do is to target the P tag inside the city name div. Okay, so it's going to target this. So I don't need to have a class for this. I can use this to get to where it is. So I'll just give that a font size of let's say 16 points. See how that looks. Fine. Let's give it a weight. Do I have 200? No, I don't have 200. 400 might be too much. It looks fine. Okay, now what I want to do is also get the span. Let's go with font weight 400. And what I'm going to do is increase the font size and make it also 16. Let's see. And that looks quite small. Okay, now this font, this railway font is looking like a box, so probably change this font family. Let me go with Times New Roman. So Times New Roman looks like a circle or a dot. Okay, but it's quite too far from Abuja. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the position to be relative so that I can position it myself. I'll go to top and I'll make the top, let's see, go with a negative number. Okay, good, that worked. So relative, we can position what we want. So I think this is okay. And the next thing I'm going to work on is this image. So how do I get it? I'll make this image know that it's in a card. So go back to the HTML and I'll add a class to the image. I'll call it card top, or the card image top. Good. I'll add my own class of time. I'm going to use that. And what that does is it kind of fixes the image inside the card. Okay. Now let's continue. What else do we need to work on? I think we're good here. So we're coming down to this guys here. Okay, so for me to get to this, I could use temp span. Okay, so that would get into that. I'll just give it a font weight of 100. Give it a font size of C to emphasis. Okay, I'll make that bigger. Okay, I would kind of reduce the letter spacing. Okay, that looks fine. And I'll see if I don't want it to have wires to wrap, so I'll give them no wrap. Okay, so let's work on the other side. So actually, I'm gonna give all of them line height of 0.5, so it brings them together. Okay, and then I can go down to condition temp. That's where I am now. And let me see, do I need to target anything here? Okay, let me give these classes so I can differentiate them. I'll call this condition. I'll call this high. And I'll call this low. So let's see. So I'll see condition. I want to take back the line height for that. Let me save my HTML. Okay. So that will sort out the line height for that. And then just play around with the font weight. Let's give it the highest font weight. Font size is that. And because I'm getting data from the API, so I can use this to help me capitalize each word. I really don't want to deal with JavaScript, so let me just do that with the CSS. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to work on this high and low. We're going to give them those icons. So the way we can do that is by referencing the class, and we're going to use these pseudo classes before, so we can add that. Okay, let me just show you an example. Let me add something here. So you can see that add a content of HA before the text itself. So that way we can add things before our HTML tags. So in this case, we're adding an icon. And the icon is an image. I want to get it, let's see, up. Good. And I'll give it a width of 10 and a height of 15. Okay, I'm going to use display inline. Let's go with inline block. Okay, and then I'm going to make the background not to repeat. So we'll just have only one of those. And what I would do, it's also, I'm not happy with the positioning, so I'll just add a position of a relative so that I can position it myself. So I'll just say top tpx. Okay, good. Now all I can do is just to copy and paste, and change this to low and change this down. Okay, you can see that works very well. So we're going down to icon container. So let's do that icon container, and I want to make it a circle. So I'll go with border radius 100%, save that, but that's not quite a circle, so I'll make the width square. That way the border radius could make it a circle. So you can see it's already a circle. So let me give it a dark background. Let's give it a dark color. Okay, very good. Now I'll reference the image, icon container image. Now what I want to do is just centralize it. So I'll say margin, auto. Good. So we have that nice and good in the center. Now I think we're almost done. So all we need to do is just play around with the sizes of this, which I'm sure you can go ahead and do on your own. So what is the card button? That's the class, which I can use to target that. And I'll just play around with the line height to bring them closer together. And let me target card bottom span. I can reduce the font size. Let's say top px. Okay, and I can also target the p tag. I can make that font size. Let's go with 50. Play around with the weight. Make it the smallest weight. Save. Okay, that looks good. I also play around with the letter spacing. Say -5. Let me see how that looks. Oh, -3, -2. Okay, so we are done. I really tried to not waste so much time, but then let's head over to the JavaScript side of things. Now for the JavaScript side of things, I'll be using two JavaScript files to do this. You can use one, but just for explanation. Now create the first one, call it request.js. This will just handle the request to the API. And the other, I'm just gonna call index.js. This I will use for manipulation of the DOM. Okay, so let me go to my index and close this. I'm trying to use the screen real estate. Now at the bottom of my HTML, just above the body, I'm going to add the two scripts. So the first one I'll add is the request.js, and then I'm going to add index.js. You can use one like I said, but just for explanation purposes. Okay, now in the request, let me close all of this. In the request, I'm going to make calls to the API. So the first thing you need to do is to get registered on the Weather API. So go to their website, openweathermap.org, and then make sure you create an account. Okay, so when you do that, go to API keys, and this is the key you want to copy. So copy this key, and we're going to go back to our VS Code. I'm just going to close this and create a constant and call it key equal to this. So we're going to be using this to make our API request. So you've copied your key. So next you want to go back to the website and then click on API. Takes you to this page. Here you would go to the current weather API doc. There are others you can use, but we're going to be using this one. I want to search for city by name. So they have an endpoint for that already. Or something that can fetch that data for you, which is this one. So we're just going to copy it. And we're going to go back to our VS Code. Let's open my browser. I already have that here. But here's what's going to happen. I'm going to create a const, call it base URL. And then just paste this. For now, I'll just hard code this. Okay. For my city, I'll replace my city with any city you want. So let me put Lagos. And then for the app ID, which is our key, I'll just copy this whole key and replace it and put it here. Okay. Now, sorry, I'll add HTTP. I'll copy all of this link and I'll paste in my browser. So that should return a string like this, and it looks like JSON. So in here, they should have, okay, country information is here. I can see the name, which is Lagos. Okay, so we have information of Lagos. Lagos, it's, I think this returns in Kelvin. We're going to convert that. There's a way of converting it in the API, but we're going to use JavaScript to do the conversion. Okay, so now let's use the app to make that request. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to be using a Fetch API. It's quite easy. All you need to do is just type fetch and pass in the URL. So that's half of the work done. Okay, so this fetch creates a promise. Okay, and that promise is like JavaScript kind of knows that this will take a while. Okay, so it creates a promise that waits for a response, kind of. Okay, and the way we catch that response is by adding this method then, and then inside then we pass in another callback function. I'm going to use another function to do that. Okay, and in that callback function, we can pass in an argument with any name. I can call this response. Let me just call it data, and I'll just console log what that data is. So save, and we can see it give us our response. Let me do this. Let me call this response, and then comma data. Okay, so our response, this is when we typed, our response is this. Okay, so status 200 means that the link was valid and a response was gotten. Okay, and then we have other things in here too that we can have access to, but we don't need to. So what I'm going to be using this.json to get the data we want, because it's like it returns a JSON file. Okay, so I'm just going to put data.json, and then remember we'll console log that. So the response is a promise, and then let's open that up and see it resolved that. Okay, so in there we can see the information we're looking for. Cloud coordinates, we can see main, this is where the temperature is. So with just this line of code, okay, with just this fetch and then our then, we've already made a request to an API, as simple as that. Okay, so now what we need to do is just to make sure that this looks good and add one or two things, but this line of code has done what we want. Okay, and of course, I intentionally left out a part, which I'm going to tell you now, which is the catch part. Now, catch is for in case this turns up to be an error. Okay, so I have my then, and then I'm going to add something called catch. It catches the error. So I'm going to format this code a little bit better for you. I'll just hit enter here, indent this. In a new line, I'll put the catch. Now catch also expects a callback function, so I'll use an arrow function for that. And in here, I'm catching the error, pass an argument called error, and I'll just console log the error. Very simple. Now, of course, we don't have any error yet, but let's introduce an error. Let me change the name of the website and put something here. Okay, so we are catching an error here. It says type error failed to fetch. Okay, this is the type of error. So it failed to fetch whatever happened here. So this makes the basis of Fetch API. But this is actually not the right way to use this. Okay, because this should be handled like an async operation. Okay, what async means is we need to kind of like let JavaScript know that this is going to be acting, or this is going to take a while to come back. So it shouldn't wait for it. It should do other things. Okay, now, but this is based on Fetch API. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this dynamic now. Okay, so I hope you understand how Fetch API works. So I'm just going to comment, all of this. And then I'm going to create a function and call it request city. Now in this request city, it's going to be an arrow function. Okay, in this request city, I want to pass in an argument. This city is going to represent anything the user types in here. Anything user types in here, any city. Okay, so I'll have my const base URL. And remember, let's just copy this and paste it here. Okay, but I'm going to just clean up this. I'm going to stop here. Now, anything after your question mark, it's a query. Query, it's dynamic. So I'm going to remove all of that and just leave it this way because this is always constant, while everything after the query could change. Okay, so for my query, I just create a const query. And for this, I'll be using the template string. We'll do that by doing this. And what this helps you to do is you don't have to, for example, let me just do it the alternate way, and then I'll show you template string. Now my query is going to be question mark q equal to, remember it was city. Let me just copy all of this and put it here first. Remember, city is going to come here. So since it's dynamic, I cannot have city there, and this will also go. Okay, so I'm going to do this way. I'm going to create two strings. I want to concatenate the strings, and you can do that by using a plus. Okay, so what I'm going to put here is the city. So whatever the person puts in here, the user is going to come in here, and of course, after the app ID, we're going to concatenate the key string. Okay, so you can see query is this with the city, app ID with the key. Okay, now this is one way of doing this, but there's an easier way using template strings. So I'm just going to do that underneath here, const same query, but this time I'll type q equal, Now with this, you don't have to put all those plus signs. All you need to do is just put your $sign and your braces and type city. And then you can continue with your string like you normally do, equal to key. Now this makes it very easy to use concatenation, okay? In my own opinion anyway. So I'm just going to remove this because we didn't need it in the first place. So this is going to create the query aspect, and then I'm going to make fetch call or promise call. Okay, so I'll just call it a const response fetch base URL plus query. So this is going to merge these two strings here for me. Now, because I'm using fetch and it's going to take a while to come back, I'm going to employ what we call async and await. It's kind of a way of telling JavaScript to continue whatever it wants to do until this request is done. So it doesn't have to wait for this request, kind of. So the way that is being done, it's at the beginning of your function. So here we put something keyword async. Okay, so JavaScript knows that this is going to take a while. So it takes it, it kind of runs it on another thread while it's doing other things. And whenever it's done, it brings it back to the main thread. Okay, and then for this call here, since this is going to take a while, we put await in front of it, this await keyword. Okay, so what this basically does is, yes, JavaScript is trying to assign this to this variable we created, which is const. Okay, so it's trying to add trying to declare this. Okay, but what it's going to do is it's going to wait until this returns a value. Okay, before it assigns it to response. Hope that makes sense. And then I'm just going to call this promise data. I'll call it data. Since I'm going to sort of wait for this response.json. And for now, let me just console log data. So I'll come down here and I'll pass a city, let's say request. I'll put request Abuja and save. Okay, so we have an error. That's because remember I changed this name. So I'll save again. And then, okay, we can see invalid key. Let's see. Okay, so I was meant to put and here. Okay, so I'll save that again. Good. So we've gotten our data. So as simple as that. So this few lines of code fetches your data for you. Okay, good. I'm going to take this off and return data. So I'll clean this. We don't need that there. Okay, good. So when we call this function, we pass in the city parameter, and then all of this runs and returns our data. Okay, so I'm going to open up the index.jx, which we're going to use for our DOM manipulation. Now I can close this. Okay, so what we're going to do here is one of the things we want to do is to get the value that the user types here. So let me just look at my form. Okay, so we're going to query this class. We'll do that by saying const, and let's call it search form equals to document dot use query selector, and is a class, so we put dot and then name of the class. Okay, so I'm going to add an event listener to the form. Okay, So I'll just go saying add event listener, and the event we're listening for is the submit event. Okay, and that needs two parameters, the event itself and a function, callback function. So I'm going to use an arrow function, and because this is a form, our forms have a default a default value, sorry, default behavior that when you click enter, it kind of like gives you this thing here, and it also refreshes the page. We don't want that. Okay, we don't want that refresh. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to pass a parameter here and call it event. Do that by saying event.prevent default. Pass this method. So what it's going to do is going to prevent the page from refreshing. So type, so nothing happens. Very good. Now this could be anything, but it has to be whatever you pass in here. So if I say here is A, like some people normally do, just make here A, right? It's a callback function. So whatever argument you pass here. And also there's something I want to show you now, because this is the only thing we're passing in here, because it's an arrow function, you can actually just remove this brackets. Still works. Okay, so let's get the value of what the person types. So we want to get a reference to this. Okay, so I'll just say const city searched, and I'll say equal to city value. Okay, I've not got a city value, so I'll just go and make a reference to that city value equals to document.query selector, and I can make a query to that using search location and input. And because this is the first input that we have here, so it's just going to make a reference to this automatically. Okay, so we want to get the value of whatever the person typed. Okay, and then of course we also want to trim it just in case we have some spaces. So I'm going to console log that. So type Abuja. Oops, I made a mistake here. Stop changing my stuff. Abuja. So we seem to be getting an error. So let me just cross check my. Okay, I misspelled this, so probably have to misspell it everywhere. Okay, so just type Abuja. Okay, we can see that. Type Lagos. Okay, good. So we are getting the value, and of course I would like to reset the form. I don't want to autocomplete. Okay, just for me. So Abuja, good. Lagos, good. Very good. Already. London, very good. So let's just go ahead. Okay, so what we want to do next is very simple. We're going to make a request. Okay, so remember our request city. Let's see, request city. So we're going to make a request using that function we already have. So request city, and we're going to pass in city search. Okay, now remember that this is a promise. Okay, this is a promise. It's going to take a while. It's going to return something. It's a promise. So I'm going to add the then I'm going to tell you that anything you get back with the then and pass an arrow function, anything you get back from this, I want you to use it to do something. Okay, so in my arrow function, I just write data, passing data, just console log the data for now. Okay, and of course, in case if you have any error, I'd like to see that. And I have my arrow function. pass argument error, then we console log the error. Okay, so let's search for a city and go with Lagos. Very good. So we can see this is data we want. Okay, so it's coming back here. We search for Abuja. Abuja comes here. Okay, very good. So in here now, we could decide to run a function or run things that will update this UI. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, instead of me writing here just to make my code look cleaner, I would refer to, let's say, a function called UpdateWeatherApp, and I'm going to pass in that data. Okay, I've not created this function yet, but when the data comes back, I'm going to open up this function and pass in this data. So I'm just going to create this function here, somewhere here, UpdateWeatherApp, and it's going to be an arrow function. Okay, and of course it's expecting something, so I just call it city. Okay, so this data will be equal to this argument here. Okay, so let's just do console log city here and see if we have successfully passed the data from here to here. So type Abuja. Good, you can see still works. So in here I'm going to do some of the dumb manipulation and all that. And the first thing I want to change is I want to change this name to the name of the city that was searched. That is quite easy to do. So let's make a reference to this. Where is it? Okay, I can do city name P. I can say const city name, report document, query selector, and then I'll make a reference to, oops, I thought I copied the city name. Now this is going to make a reference to this. Okay, so all we want to do is we need to get the name. So let me just run a search again. Now, where is the name of the city stored? It's stored in this code name. Okay, in this object name. Okay, so if I want to get access to this, I'm going to do this. So let me just console log city.name. So when I type London, good. So you can see I'm getting the London. Now this other one that comes in is actually from this guy. Okay, so I'm going to use this to update that guy right there. Okay, so just simply do city name, and I'll set the text content. I'm going to set the text content to city.name. Okay, so let me search for London. Okay, you can see that works. Lagos. Go all small letters. Owerri. Okay, good. So let me show you. I type in small letters. Owerri. Oh, I don't know where. Let's say Dubai. Okay, you can see this is the previous one that we are logging somewhere, and then it changes this. Okay, so now let's work on all of this. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use inner HTML and template string, which is going to make my life easier. So to do that, I'll go to index, and then I want to, all of this is where, okay, all of this is inside card body. Okay, so I'm just going to copy everything inside card body. Okay, and leave card body is going to be like the parent. And then I'm going to say const card body, and this body equals to document dot query selector, and we're making reference to the card body. Okay, now what we're going to do is I'm going to say when we get the data, card body dot inner HTML is going to be equal to this template string, and in here I'm going to paste all of this. Since we're using a template string, so it's easy to change these values. Okay, I'm going to just quickly change one that name. Let me just console log this city. I want to still be able to see this JSON string. Oh, weather, where are you, weather? Okay. Oh, finally. Okay, so I want to reference this. Okay, so I'm going to go to in here because it's a template string. I'll put my $, and then I reference that with this weather is an array, so that position 0, and then dot main. Okay, I'll save this, and then let me type Lagos. You can see changes to clouds. Let's see what's happening in Dubai. Dubai is also clouds. Interesting. Let's go back to Abuja. Everybody's clouds. Let me look at Dubai. Oops, weather, clouds. Okay, let me go with description. I think description has more description to it. This, oops, get it away. Okay, so Lagos, few clouds. Okay, Dubai still has few clouds. Abuja has scattered clouds. Okay, good. So we can see this works. So in that same way, we can easily update everything here. Okay, so I'll just quickly do that. Okay, so one of the things I said we're going to do is we are going to convert these degrees. Where is it again? We're going to convert this. I think they're in Kelvin, so we're going to convert that to Celsius. And when I'm going to do that, I'm going to create a function that's going to do that for us. Okay, so I'm going to call the function, call it spit out Celsius. Okay, so sorry, it's going to be an arrow function. So let's do that properly. And we're going to take in an argument, just call it Kelvin. And what we're going to do with Kelvin is we are going to calculate Celsius, and we're going to take Kelvin and we're going to minus, I think it's 273.15 thereabout. Okay, that's all. But then I want to put this, I want to round it up. So I'm going to use that round. Okay, so this is going to spit out, of course, we want to return Celsius. Okay, so this function here is going to take in the temperature and then spit out the value we want. So let me just type in Abuja again. I want to get these values. I want to have a look at them. Okay, so main temp. Okay, so I come to where it's gonna be. It's just gonna be here. Okay, put my $, and I'll make a reference to this, and I'm passing in city.main.temp. Okay, so that's going to take this and spit out the Celsius because of this we've written here. And then we're going to go to this high temp mask. So I'm just copy this, replace it with this, but this time temp underscore mex here it's gonna be paste this temp underscore main, right? Yeah. And then feels like, where do we have this? I'll paste that here, change this to feels like. Humidity, we just do this and then just put city main humidity. Okay, so let's see Abuja. Oh, I made a mistake. Copy this, not meant to be here. Yeah. It's meant to be here. Okay, so let's see Lagos. Very good. So everything updates. Is Canada a city? Oh, there's a city called Canada. Canada is a country. Okay, so we have this sorted out. Now we want to work on the icon, and you can have access to that using a particular link. They actually give you an idea of what the icon is going to be. So I'm going to show you something. Let's, is it main? I think it should be under weather. Okay, good. Now this is the icon. Now this icon refers to an image, so we're going to take whatever image this is and put it here, and then this trailing letter lets you know if it's night or day. Okay, so let me search for a country that I know that let's say Beijing. You guys should be in day. Okay, let's look at the data for Beijing, whether Beijing is in day. Okay, so we're also going to use this to make this dynamic. Let's create a constant value and just do it in here. Const curly icon source equal to. Now the link that they use is this. So I'm just going to paste that. Where are we? I'm going to paste it here. This is the link. Okay, and then the image name comes here. So since this is a template string, I could just easily do this and say city dot weather. Weather is an array. Dot icon. Okay, now to make this look a little bit neat, I'll take this off for now. I'll create a const and say image name equal to this. Okay, so I just put image name here, and then at the end you put the extension. Okay, now I can save this. Let's see Lagos. Oops, icon source. I've not used this. Where do we have you? So just take this off and put this there. Okay, so let's type Lagos. You can see this is changing, and the icon is quite small. So according to them, you could request for bigger icons by just doing this at 2 times. I forgot the dots. Okay, so that request for twice the size of that. So let's go with Dubai. You can see Dubai has few clouds, this icon. So we're almost done. So what we need to do is to create or make this dynamic. So we're going to make it change depending on if it's night or day. Okay, and the way we're going to do that, it's quite easy. We're going to create a function that's going to check if the icon name ends with an N or a D. Okay, so I'm just going to, let me come here and call the function is daytime. Okay, and we're passing in the icon. Oops, sorry, it's daytime. Our function. We're passing in the icon here. Okay, the space. Okay, now we're going to say if the icon includes the letter D, then return true, which means it's daytime, right? Okay, so if there's D in the name, it returns true, else we're going to return false. So it's daytime. We pass an icon. If it includes D, it's going to return. Oops, autocorrect again. It's going to return true, and our autocomplete is going to return false. Okay, so that should be able to give us a true or false. So I'm going to go down. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to say if it's daytime. I just want to console log day. Oops, else I'm going to log in night. Okay. So remember, it's daytime. We already have that created by ourselves. So we need to pass in something because we need something. So that's going to be this image name. So we're going to pass in this image name. So let's test that. Let's close this. Type Abuja. So Abuja is a night. Let's check Benjin. Benjin is in day. So this can tell us day or night. So using this, we are just going to change the value of this guy here. So we're going to get a reference to that. Let's see where it is. Okay, city. Okay, we can use card top image. So I can say const time image equals to document dot query selector and card image. Okay, so this will get a reference to that. So down here, when it's day, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the attributes. Okay, so I'm going to say time image set attributes, and the attribute I want to change is the source. Okay, I want to set the source to image dot let's see, what do we have here? Okay, the image dot svg. Okay, so just copy this, and if it's night, I'm gonna change it to, I believe the name is night image. Okay, good. Okay, easy as that. So let's search for Lagos. So Lagos is still night. Let's search for Benjin. Benjin is day, so you can see that changes. You can decide to go a step ahead, changing this text so that when it's night, for example, when it's night, the text is white. So here. So we have a reference to the name already. Where was that? City name. Okay. So what we're going to do is, if it's night, we want to set city name to white text. Okay, so we can add the class list. We can add a class to this, a bootstrap class, which is text white. Okay, by simply doing .add and say text white. Okay, so let's see That's for Lagos. Returns white. Benjamin. It doesn't want to change back to black. Okay, so we're going to copy this, come to this and put black. Lagos, white, Benjamin, still white. And what's going on here? So let's look at our elements. I really do not have, okay, let's make this big. Let me just bring this out a little bit. Oops, I don't need all of it, please. You can go. Okay, so what is happening here? Here is meant to be black. So let's inspect. Okay, now you can see it has two classes, white and black. Now, because of we used add, okay, now this keeps adding irrespective of whether something was there or not. It just keeps adding. So what we want to do is we want to check if it has the order, which is in this case, if it has text white, you should remove it. Okay, so we can just simply do an if check and say if city name class list, if it contains the class list called text white, okay, then we would like you to just copy this. We'd like you to remove it. So I can say remove text white. Okay, so if it has text white, remove it. Else add text black. So I'll cut and paste this. Okay, so I'll repeat the same thing here. Okay, I'll say if city name, if the class list contains, in this case, if it contains what text black, we were going to city name, we're going to remove the text black. Okay, and if it doesn't have that, we are going to add just over here. Okay, so let's test that. Type Lagos white, then Zane black, Lagos again white. So that works. Okay, good. Now we're going to do something. At the beginning of the app, we do not want this to show, want this to be hidden. So there's a class, a Bootstrap class that can help us hide things. So let's go to card body. All right, let's go to card itself and add none. That's display none. So it's going to hide that for us. Okay. So what we're going to do is when we load data, when we get data and we're ready to display, we're going to remove this class. Okay. None. So I'm going to use this as a reference back card. Let's see if I already have it here. Okay, not yet. So I'll say const card body. I think I have card body already. So I'll say const, okay, card info equals to document dot query selector, and then I'm looking for this. Okay, so that's when we're updating the UI, when we're done with all of this down here, I'm gonna say class list remove none. Okay, so let me search. Oops. Okay, we have Abuja Good, we have Lagos, we have Owerri, we have Dubai. Let me just refresh the page. Okay, let me search Dubai first so you can see. So we're done with our weather app. Now you could go ahead and make some tweaks to your app. I believe this is showing you how to request data very easily from an API or from whatever you want to request data from. Congrats for making it to the end of this video. Now if you had any problems or suggestions, please leave it in the comment section, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel and leave a thumbs up if you like the video. So I'll see you guys in the next video.